Hello and welcome back. In this lecture I want to show you one more way you can implement the factory method. It's very similar to the previous method, the most common implementation of just using one concrete class, except that in this case you don't need the concrete class could just have a static method, and so you don't even have to create an instance of your factory. You can just use a static method and call the factory method directly. So again, it's a kind of a simplified version. It just includes the use of a static method. You define a factory as a static method. Another common technique, it's often called a static factory. This technique is sometimes used so that you do not need to instantiate a factory class to make use of the create method. It has the disadvantage that you cannot subclass and change the behavior of the create method. Right? So if you did want to change the factory method itself, you wouldn't be able to do it. So you would do this in simplified ways where you don't have any change and any of the factory methods. Let's walk through this in IntelliJ. Again, very similar to the previous example, we're just going to change one tiny thing. So I'm going to call this example, I'm going to call it the static method creator, so I'll call it factory static method creator example. Factory static method creator. Factory static method creator example. Again, we'll quickly go through creating the product interface and the concrete products, shape, circle, and rectangle. All of this should look very familiar. Got this stuff memorized. Our shape interface represents the products. Just have that draw method. So we just have our simple rectangles. Again, I'll quickly copy and paste this in. The only thing that's really going to change in this example is the fact that our concrete creator is going to have a static method. The product stuff doesn't actually change at all. It just implements the draw method, still same types of products. Just want to make sure compile, so we're going to make default implementations or default access modifiers. We still need to create our shape factory, which is our concrete creator. It's just going to have a single method in it. Static method. So our shape factory will have the get shape, and the get shape looks just like it did in the previous example, except it's static. So again, not much different here, right? If it's circle, it returns a new circle. If it's a rectangle, it returns a new rectangle. And if it's a new square, it returns a new square. We're familiar with this. We now need to create our client, which instead of having to create an instance of the concrete creator, it can just use the static method. Again, very similar to the previous one. It just makes it a little bit cleaner because we don't have to create that instance. So now we can call the get shape directly, just statically. What we would do here is we would do something like this inside of our main. Is if we want to get a circle object, we don't have to create an instance of shape factory. We just use the static method get shape. We still pass in the parameter that represents the type that we want to instantiate using a string, and then we call our draw method. So pretty straightforward. Just that static method. That's the only thing that changes in this implementation. So we would do the same for rectangles and squares. And then you'll notice when we compile and run it, it has the same output as the previous examples. So this will build and then run. And we have to make sure we run the client. And then again, you'll see that the output is similar to previous examples. The correct instance is called for the type that needs to be created. So to summarize, the only difference here is that static method. Public static shape get shape. Client does not have to create an instance of shape factory. It just calls get shape directly. Pretty straightforward. Thank you.